Callous Mind Talking Head Livecast, Episode 15 Sports, Politics, and Cultural Stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your fun loving, animated, talking head friend, Callous Mind, back with another hard hitting episode, or Episode 15 of the Callous Mind Livecast. In this episode, we're going to talk about National Football League Week 14 pick results, make picks for NFL Week 15, and talk about some other interesting sports stories and happenings since we last spoke. As always, you beautiful viewers are more than welcome to participate in the show by commenting in the live chat, which I will review near the end of the show. Those watching the replay are welcome to comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this thing and see how I did in week 14 and just kind of go from there. It was an interesting week this week, and interesting week of football anyway. And so I actually started off with a win on Thursday for a change. NFL Week Pick 14 results: 9 wins, 7 losses. So not great, but not the worst it's ever been. So as we can see, the Patriots lost on Thursday night to the Rams, which wasn't super surprising. Let me pause and make sure I'm getting the right stuff here, and I am. Okay. Bears handily beat the Texans. And look at Trubisky there with 3 TD passes, pushed Bears to win over Texans, boy. So Trubisky finally got it right, I guess, and the Bears win, and they still seem to be in the thick of the playoff race there. So that's good for Mitchell Trubisky. Good for Adam if he's watching. I know that the season's been hard on him. Cowboys and Bengals. Cowboys did get the win, and this is one of the few times they didn't let me down when I picked them. So Andy Dalton going back and playing against his former team, and the Cowboys win big, 30-7. So good for the Cowboys, and that keeps that NFC East just that much more interesting. Chiefs at Dolphins. Once again, Chiefs kind of have a close call. Somebody playing them tough, but in the end they pull it out and win and keep right on trucking, and they are now 12-1. So they look like they're going to be the clear favorite to have that AFC playoff route right through Kansas City, which will be good for them. Next up, the Cardinals. Maybe the Giants were exactly what the Cardinals needed at this moment, but they did get right. They looked a lot better than they have, and they needed that win. So congrats to the Cardinals and Kyler Murray for looking good again. And the Cardinals are still in the hunt for the playoffs as well. Vikings and Buccaneers. I'd actually picked the Vikings in that game, so that was a loss for me. And you know what can you say? You doubt the Bucks, they win. You praise the Bucks, they lose. They're here and there and everywhere, but it is what it is, man. That's the nature of the NFL. And then Broncos at Panthers. Man, look at the Broncos hanging 32 points up on the Panthers. And it's not like they're the 85 Chicago Bears defense or anything, but I gave the Panthers the benefit of the doubt and figured they would be able to win at home, which they did not. So, unfortunately, that was another loss for me. Titans and Jaguars. I thought the Jags would have played the Titans tougher in that game. You know, that could have been the proverbial trap game, so to speak. But the Titans go on the road and they roll at Jacksonville. Next up, oh man, look at the Raiders, boy. They just took it on the chin at home against the Colts, boy. 44-27, man. How embarrassing. So, you know, I'd said, I think it was two episodes ago that I had said that I was starting to have real doubts about whether or not the Raiders or the Cardinals were going to make the playoffs. And given that result right there of the Raiders losing at home pretty badly to the Colts, uh, that just reinvigorates my feeling before that they weren't going to make the playoffs. So I have serious, serious doubts that the Raiders are going to make it, but that's always the question. Would you rather have your team make the playoffs and lose in the first round, or would you just rather have them miss it altogether, or would you rather have them make the playoffs, win one game, give you hope, and then lose? So I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about that. It's been a long time since the Raiders have been in the playoffs, but I also kind of feel like, if you're just going to make the playoffs and lose, then don't even bother. Don't give me a false sense of hope and then just to dash it out in the first round, especially if you got to go. The thing about the AFC specifically is I was looking at the AFC playoff picture, and a lot of these teams that are going to be high seeds are going to be cold climates, and that's not real good for the Raiders. They have always fared better in the playoffs when the AFC playoffs run through Oakland or Los Angeles as opposed to going on the road to a cold climate and winning. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'm just saying typically, and we can all probably look up this stat. I don't know if somebody's got it somewhere at the Elias Sports Bureau or something, but teams from the West traveling east in playoff matchups, I'd be interested to know what that record is, because it seems to me like it probably wouldn't fare very well, and we see that in the regular season as well. So why would it be any different in the postseason? So anyway, side tangent over. Next game up, Jets and Seahawks. Seahawks roll over the Jets. That's not a real big surprise. Packers and Lions. That game's a little surprising to me because the Lions seem to really keep it at least competitive against the Pack, which they usually always do. But the Packers get the win on the road and improve to 10-3. Next game up, Saints and Eagles. This was a loss for me, and this was one of those ones where, it first of all, the Saints were due to lose because they had won like 10 games in a row or something ridiculous. So they were overdue for a loss. Philly changed out their quarterback from Carson Wentz and went with Jalen Hurts, and maybe that was the shot in the arm they needed. Whatever it was, the Eagles got the win at home, and there they are. So this makes for interesting speculation and interesting fodder for the media as far as a potential quarterback controversy now in effect in Philadelphia, and a costly one at that. So we'll see how that continues to unfold. And then the Falcons and Chargers. I had actually picked the Falcons in that game, and that was another one of my losses. So the Chargers win at home, and what can I say? The Falcons, man, they've done me wrong this year, boy. I pick them, and they lose, and then I don't pick them, and then they win, and so they've just been dreadful for me this year. Washington football team at San Francisco 49ers. I had picked the Washington football team. I actually kind of believe in them, and I'm kind of rooting for Alex Smith. So that was another win of mine. And then surprisingly, on Sunday Night Football, the Steelers lose again, 2 in a row. Now this was really kind of a toss-up game. I didn't think that the Steelers would lose 2 games in a row now, but I'm sure all the Steelers fans out there are saying, get it out of the way now because you can't lose in the playoffs. But to go on the road to Buffalo and lose like that, I mean, don't sleep on how good Buffalo really is, because they might just surprise you. I mean, they may find themselves playing in Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, depending on how the seeding lays out and stuff, because I think they're a pretty good team. So, and then on Monday Night Football, I watched probably about the last 6 minutes of this game last night, and it was a hell of a final 6 minutes. It was a loss for me because I picked the Browns, but I mean, you know, there's no shame in necessarily losing that game, but it was like a heavyweight fight, man. I mean, they were duking it out in the final, 4 to 6 minutes, and it was just so happened to be that time was on the Ravens side, and they had the ball last and were able to kick a game-winning field goal. But other than that, that was looked like a great game, and the Browns are still very much in the playoff hunt. And I've kind of decided that in honor of my friend Jason, and if the Raiders don't make the AFC playoffs and the Browns do, then I'm going to go ahead and root for his Browns because I think it's just the right thing to do. So, all right, so let's get into week 15 picks. So bear with me 1 second here. Oh, wait a second here. I'm not ready to do that just yet. I got to remove that other image here. Okay. All right. So, NFL Week 15 picks. Los Angeles Chargers at Las Vegas Raiders. I am taking, of course, my Las Vegas Raiders because there's still hope. I mean, at least even a second place finish for the Raiders in the AFC West would show improvement, and that's kind of what we're going for at this point. I know I'm not really a big moral victory guy, but in a way I am because I want to see the team continue to improve, and if they're not necessarily ready to advance in the playoffs, then I would almost rather they didn't make the playoffs, but I do want to see improvement like every other Raiders fan does, I'm sure. So I will take the Las Vegas Raiders over the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday night. And then here we got Saturday football this week. Saturday NFL football. Buffalo at Denver. I will take Buffalo on the road at Denver. And then Carolina at Green Bay. I'll take Green Bay at home against the Carolina Panthers. And then on Sunday starts with the New York Jets at the Los Angeles Rams, and I don't see that game being any trouble for the Rams, so I will take the Los Angeles Rams to beat the New York Jets. Tampa Bay at Atlanta, an NFC South matchup. I will go ahead and take Tampa on the road at Atlanta, although that game may be close and Atlanta may give them fits. I'm going to go ahead and pick with Tampa. Pick Tampa. I mean, both these teams have really let me down in my picks this year, but I'll take Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. And next up, Detroit at Tennessee. I say Tennessee gets the win at home because they need it more. So I'll take Tennessee at home against the Detroit Lions. Houston at Indianapolis. Once again, I will take Indianapolis because I think they need the win more. So I'll take the Indianapolis Colts at home against the Houston Texans. New England at Miami. We all know that New England's having an incredibly down year this year, and Miami seems to be on the rise and still battling for a playoff spot. So I will take Miami at home against the New England Patriots. Chicago at Minnesota. This pick is kind of tougher for me now because the Bears actually put some points on the board this past weekend, but I don't know if I'm buying into it still. So I'll take Minnesota at home against the Chicago Bears, and I'm sure Adam will have something to say about that in the comments. Oh my gosh. Cleveland at New York Giants. There's no reason why Cleveland cannot go on the road. I mean, that was a tough loss for them on Monday Night Football, but they can get right again by going to New York to play the New York Giants. So I'll take the Cleveland Browns on the road at the New York Giants. Seattle at Washington Football Team. This was kind of a tough pick, and some people may say that I'm crazy here, but I think maybe Washington's found their mojo, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt at home. I'm taking the Washington Football Team over the Seattle Seahawks, so we'll see how that plays out. But I think Washington can beat them, so I'll take them. Washington over Seattle. Yeah, you heard that right. Next game here, Jacksonville at Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins that game handily, so that's no big surprise there. I'll take Baltimore at home against Jacksonville. Philadelphia at Arizona. I think this game's interesting for many reasons, especially if Jalen Hurts is playing in this game, because now the Arizona Cardinals may get a taste of their own medicine and see if they can stop somebody who is kind of got similar skills to Kyler Murray, meaning he can run the ball or he can throw the ball. So, but I'm maybe it's my home influence or whatever it is. The Cardinals need this game badly, and I will take the Arizona Cardinals at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Kansas City at New Orleans. This game is probably more important for New Orleans as far as the playoff picture goes, because now, since they lost this past weekend, they lost the number one seed, and I believe Green Bay has that now. So they're still trying to fight for that number one seed in the NFC if that matters to them. But I will take Kansas City on the road at New Orleans, and then San Francisco at Dallas. Perhaps the Dallas Cowboys are gaining momentum. And based on that, I'm going to roll the dice here, and I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys at home against the San Francisco 49ers, because that game is still meaningful for the Cowboys. And, we'll see if they can hang some points on the board against the 49ers. And then on Monday, December 21st, I'm taking Pittsburgh. I don't think there's any way in the world they lose three in a row, with the third in a row being at Cincinnati. So I will take the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals. And that wraps up the Week 15 picks. All right, so let's get to some stories here from this week. I saw one that kind of aggravates me, and it has to do with this whole cancel culture thing that we're experiencing in the world these days. But the first story I want to highlight is about Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, Mike McCarthy says Dallas Cowboys will learn from mistakes, which let's hope everybody always does that. This was from December 11th, with the Dallas Cowboys beset by injuries to key players, including Dak Prescott, and having lost 6 of 7 games to fall out of contention even in the NFC East, leading to questions about the team's effort. Coach Mike McCarthy's first year has been a mess. We're not where we need to be, clearly. Our record reflects it, McCarthy said Friday. We can improve on a number of things. It's just not one area, one person. Everybody's 3-9 right now, so we all need to do a better job. This is the worst 12-game start McCarthy has endured. He was 4-8 in his first year with the Green Bay Packers in 2006, and that team won its last 4 games. He was fired in 2018 with a 4-7-1 record. The Cowboys' 3-9 mark is the worst the franchise has had since it was 1-11 in 1989, Jimmy Johnson's first year. So, I had questions kind of about how quickly Mike McCarthy was hired by the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't know if he was the best fit there, but you know what? When it comes to the NFL, you need to be good, you need to be lucky, and you need to be healthy. And sometimes being good requires that you're healthy. And sometimes being lucky requires that you're at least good. So I don't know if this is necessarily this year for the Cowboys is a result of injuries. I don't know if it's a result of bad coaching. I don't know if it's a result of bad luck. But whatever it is, I think the guy probably at least deserves a second season after, to see if you can get better and be good and get a little luckier. You know what I mean? So, in this next story, I thought was interesting because it relates to Arizona anyway, and the University of Arizona fires football coach Kevin Sumlin on heels of 77 loss to rival Arizona State. Wow, boy, that is an ass whooping. This from December 12th. Now, mind you, another reason I want to highlight this particular story is because once upon a time, Kevin Sumlin was a hot coach, and this was probably way back before he took the Texas A&M job, and it's been years now, but I was actually hoping that Arizona would have been able to hire this guy way back before he ever took that Texas A&M job, and then had Johnny Manziel and all that stuff. But then they ended up getting him, and now he's fired. So this from December 12th. Arizona fired coach Kevin Sumlin on Saturday, a day after the Wildcats' 77 loss to rival Arizona State. The Wildcats 0-5 this season with another possible game next week are on a record 12-game losing streak after dropping their final 7 games in 2019. The 70 points they allowed Friday night marked the most ever surrendered in Territorial Cup Series history, dating to 1899. When we hired Kevin 3 years ago, we had very high hopes for our football program, Arizona Athletic Director Dave Heek said in a statement. Unfortunately, we simply have not seen the results and upward trajectory in our program that we needed to, and I believe now is the time for a change in leadership. I thank Kevin for his service to the University of Arizona and wish him the very best in the future. Sumlin had 2 years left on his contract. Heek said the school will honor the terms of Sumlin's existing deal, including a $7.5 million buyout. Arizona went 9-20, 6-17 in the Pac-12 with no bowl appearances under Sumlin, and it lost all 3 games to Arizona State. The lopsided Territorial Cup defeat comes 2 years after the Wildcats blew a 19-point fourth quarter lead and a 41-40 loss. Sumlin, 56, went to Arizona from Texas A&M, where he went 51-26, but finished no higher than 4th in the SEC West Division in his final 5 seasons. He replaced Rich Rodriguez, who guided Arizona to a Pac-12 South Division title and 5 winning seasons out of 6. And this question is just kind of from me. I'm not reading from this story no more. I just got to ask this question. Anytime a coach is fired, or anytime fans or anybody starts hollering about hiring a coach, my first question is, who are you going to get to replace him? Who's best to replace him? One thing that I don't really understand about the Arizona Wildcats and the Arizona State Sun Devils specifically is, I don't know why it seems hard for these guys to recruit. I mean, it seems to me like Arizona would be a pretty desirable destination, especially for any of these high-value recruits who grew up in cold weather climates. I mean, it's something different out here. You come out here, there's pretty girls wearing, very little because it's hot. I don't really understand why these Arizona schools seem to have a harder time recruiting. And to be honest, you would think that just given the weather, at least, that they would be, in the top 15 recruiting classes each and every year. I mean, because aside from, California, what other state in the union has better weather than Arizona? Now, I know it's hot, it's damn hot here in the summertime, but these college kids ain't even necessarily here for the hottest part of the year. You know what I mean? So they're not dealing with the necessarily dealing with the consecutive days of 110 degrees or more. So that's just always kind of been one of my questions is I don't understand why Arizona schools are not better at recruiting than what they are. And then this story right here kind of breaks my heart and irritates me, and this is the one that I said that I thought was part of cancel culture, as the Cleveland Indians are going to change their name. So owner Paul Dolan says Cleveland Indians to keep name through 2021 season. This is from December 14th. The Cleveland Indians are changing their name. They just don't know to what or when. Expressing that it's time, owner Paul Dolan said that after months of internal discussions and meetings with groups, including Native Americans, who have sought to have the team stop using a moniker many deem racist. The American League franchise is dropping the name it has been known by since 1915. Damn. In an exclusive interview with the Associated Press on Monday, Dolan said the name is no longer acceptable in our world. Why? Why? Why do we always have to look at names of franchises like the Washington Redskins or Cleveland Indians as bad things? Why do we have to look at everything so negatively and through the prism of race or ethnicity? Seriously, I just don't get it. I mean, it seems to me like if you look at everything through the lens of race or ethnicity, then you are the racist. Not everyone else, not the team named the Indians, not the team named the Redskins. It's you. It's you. If you look at everything through the prism of race and ethnicity, you are a racist. That multi-stage process is in its early stages, and the team will play and be branded as the Indians at least through next season. We'll be the Indians in 2021, and then after that, it's a difficult and complex process to identify a new name and do all the things you do around activating that name, Dolan said. We are going to work at as quick a pace as we can while doing it right. But we're not going to do something just for the sake of doing it. We're going to take the time we need to do it right. Dolan said the team will not adopt an interim name until choosing its new one. We don't want to be the Cleveland baseball team or some other interim name, he said. We will continue to be the Indians until we have identified the next name that will hopefully take us through centuries. Cleveland's move away from being called the Indians follows a similar decision earlier this year by the NFL's Washington football team, which was previously known as the Redskins. It was a learning process for me, and I think when fair-minded, open-minded people really look at it, think about it, and maybe even spend some time studying it, I like to think they would come to the same conclusion. It's a name that's had its time, but this is not the time now, and certainly going forward, the name is no longer acceptable in our world. Dolan said. As Cleveland considers options, Dolan said the name Tribe, which has been a popular nickname for the club for decades, has been ruled out. We're not going to take a half step away from the Indians, he said. The new name, and I do not know what it is, will not be a name that has Native American themes or connotations to it. Frankly, Tribe would have been a name that I would have loved to pivot to, but in talking to these groups, they made it very clear that the issues that are attached to the Indians don't go away with Tribe, particularly since Tribe has been tied to the experience of our team for many, many decades, he said. The decision was welcomed by Native American groups that met with the club. The team made a genuine effort to listen and learn, said Cynthia Conley, executive board member of the Lake Erie Native American Council and the Cleveland Indigenous Coalition. We hope this serves as a blueprint for other professional teams and the 200-plus high school teams in the Ohio area. If there is a school or team that truly cares about fighting racism, these mascots cannot coexist. The name change is the latest by an organization reacting to a national movement which gained momentum in the wake of widespread civil rights protests over the summer to have prejudicial names and symbols removed. Alright, well, let me go ahead and check the comments here. Alright, so no comments. Ouch. That hurts. Alright, well, I guess I kept it kind of short and light this week, so I hope everybody has a great week. I hope your football picks do better than mine did, or do, and we'll see how the NFL playoff picture continues to unfold. So until I speak with you guys again, have a great week. Be good to yourselves and each other. And until next week, God bless. I'll talk to you later.